London calling YouTube, London calling everyone, and joining me on the Underground After Dark tonight, I have CoquiPirate.
Howdy.
And I have, joining us for the first time in over a year since the Bumper Edition pilot, you know her from YouTube, OldeVampyr.
Hello.
And why don't you kind of reintroduce yourself, OldeVampyr, just kind of like tell the audience a little bit of... It's been a while.
Well, I started out on YouTube, just had a lot of fun with it, but now, let's see, the past few months I've been pretty much playing live-in nanny to my granddaughter. I've been having a great time doing that.
Aww. Aha. Which connects with the first topic of tonight, or of this week, should I say. And we also have, making yet another return, the wonderful SchizophrenicQueen.
Hello.
Aha. Well, basically, the question, I suppose, preposterous though it is can a woman be a grandmother and be president? I'll say a couple of things before we start, which are, I'll play my Brit card and point out that, loathe Margaret Thatcher as we might, she actually became a grandmother famously while Prime Minister. She may have been a fucked up bitch, not wishing to speak ill of the dead, I will, but I don't think she was impeded in running a country by being a grandmother. Would also say, yes, it's sexist because it's a double standard. No one said this about a man. And also, to be honest, I don't think the motivation is sexist. I think that this is somebody called Charlie Rose has brought this up. But basically, it's like Obama being black. We don't like him or her. We'll use whatever we can against this person. I foresee in a year's time, was Hilary Clinton really born in the United States? In 2 years' time, everything will be thanks, Clinton. So I think this is a big steaming pile of shit. But Cokie, your thoughts?
I'm kind of curious in seeing this grandchild's birth certificate now that you mentioned it. I don't know. Maybe grandmother really does put too much on her plate, but maybe it's difficult to be a daughter and a president at the same time. I mean, has anyone ever thought of that, or being a granddaughter, or being a citizen, or being a person?
I definitely don't think anybody who is a son or daughter of anyone should ever run for president.
Yeah, I know. It's just dividing the duties too much. But yeah, you're right. It is a double standard. And the Jon Stewart video that was in the article you linked, they mentioned Mitt Romney, who had the word Jon Stewart used was a petting zoo of grandchildren, and 3 of them were born during his presidential campaign. No one brings this up with, male candidates. We just sort of assume that because they're female, they must be so family-oriented that this would get in the way of their duties. But yeah, just a stupid sexist double standard.
Yeah. Now, OldeVampyr, you can speak with some authority. Will having grandkids in any way affect your presidential campaign?
Oh no, not at all. Not any more than it has when I was 12. But what I find interesting is the people that bring this up. Probably, I don't remember them asking Sarah Palin if being a mother or being the grandmother of a bastard child would, impede on her being vice president. I mean. It's a double standard as far as your candidates go, not just, male, female, but also liberal, conservative.
Yeah. Yeah, basically, they can't do anything right. I mean, I do think, there is a strong voice that didn't want a black president and don't want a woman president. They'll hate them for being Democrats, but they'll hate them even more. And it's kind of anything goes. But I think it's a very casual kind of unconscious sexism that they're barely even, that they wouldn't really even acknowledge probably. I don't know, I'm not over there. I just hear these things. Queenie, your thoughts?
It has to do with the perception of stereotypical gender roles. I mean, you don't bring up whether or not a guy being a grandfather is going to impede on his career, because stereotypically the gender role for a man is to be the provider. He's supposed to be able to do these things, less oriented towards the caring for the family and more oriented towards getting things done. And it falls back on the stereotypical gender role that it's perceived that a woman is supposed to be staying at home and taking care of the family. And these roles are very much outdated. I think it speaks volumes about the people who would make these sort of claims. Whether or not it's simply just bringing it up because you don't like Democrats or that particular candidate or whatever, it's sort of a false call to values, I suppose you could say. Where you're like, oh, women are supposed to be the caregivers and the men are supposed to be the ones who bring home the bacon, sort of thing.
Yeah.
I think it's a push towards, like the church will be like, oh, traditional marriage and things like that. It's like the traditional gender roles. People don't like things to be changed when it comes to things that are considered very basic and things that make them comfortable. The people who would say Hilary Clinton wouldn't be a competent president because she has a grandchild are the kind of people who I would say are very intimidated by change, people who don't want to see it because it's scary.
Yeah. Which I think we seem to be seeing increasingly, perhaps to some extent in the UK, but am I right in thinking that this seems to be a louder and louder voice in America these days? I'll throw that open to the floor if anyone has it.
The voice for change or the voice for things staying the same?
Yeah, the voice of fear, the voice of no, keep things the same.
Go on, Cokie.
Well, I was going to say that U.S. politics is having an interesting state of affairs right now. In that, gerrymandering was always a problem. To be clear, the writing of certain districts to lump like conservatives together and liberals together at other places. So basically, a lot of Congress people have like guaranteed seats, or so it seemed at first, that Republicans were guaranteed a certain district because it was drawn in a way to be conservative. But you're starting to see the backlash in that it just enables more and more conservative politicians, and we'd imagine more and more liberal politicians in certain areas, to sort of come to power. And so it's no longer about who's the better candidate as much as it is who can sort of carry the party line and who can have the most sort of moral outrage over random things like this. So, I'd say that appears worse and worse, largely because on the political end, it's set up in a way that the divide between the parties will continue to grow and grow. And as we can see, like during the Obama administration, but it's been a continuous trend since like the 60s, the parties are more and more divided. There's less cooperation. It's more Republicans, conservative, Democrats, liberal, no compromise kind of situation. So that's why you see a lot more moral outrage, I guess. It's because more and more conservative politicians are taking seats.
Okay. I'll throw in a little addition to this question. I remember when Obama became president, however many years ago it was, there was this massive celebration. It was a huge thing. The first black and I think first non-Caucasian president. And the party seemed to be over very quickly, that the honeymoon didn't last very long. And people got very sort of disillusioned very quickly. Like, the guy seemed to go from being Jesus to the Antichrist, was my perception just seeing these things over here. Maybe because people expected, like, some kind of revolution, that he was supposed to walk on water and things like that. If Hillary Clinton ever does become president, and I don't know much about her apart from growing up, obviously under when her husband was president. But they could do a lot worse, I think. Would it be a similar thing that America and to some extent the world would celebrate, hooray, first woman president, and that very quickly popular opinion would kind of go against it? I'll just open up the floor again.
To be honest, I think that the American people are a lot more cynical than they were, 6 years ago.
Mm. Okay. Old Vampire, any comment?
Well, I don't remember exactly how many years ago, but there for a while, women were being elected. It seems like, if you were a woman, you were getting elected, and we were expecting big changes then. But the thing is, once you are in the politics and that, you kind of have to, toe the line, just follow in line, like. And I think you do expect more in the beginning. You think, oh, things are going to change, everything's going to be different, and then they just end up being like any other politician. It is kind of a letdown,
It's quite difficult to get things done in the American system, isn't it? But then it's too easy to do for a government to do things in the British system. Well, sort of. Queenie, any thoughts?
Well, we live in an age where people are expecting sort of like an instant gratification. And so when the change doesn't happen fast enough, people are like, oh, nothing's ever going to change. We also live in an age where people are largely ignorant about what they can do to affect change within their representatives, within the government itself. Because these are things that as far as I'm aware, I mean, I have no education on how to do these things other than to vote. But, how do you vote to affect the kind of change that you want? And things like this. Like, it seems very cut and dry, but it's actually much more nuanced. And we live in an age where people just want things to happen. Yeah. You want the things to happen now. You don't want to have to wait for it. You don't know what you're doing. It's very confusing and frustrating, I would assume, to the average person when they vote and they don't get the kind of results that they want as quickly as they want them.
Yeah, that's basically it. Okay, I think we've covered that. So tonight we have been joined by CoquiPirate.
Hello.
Oh, sorry, we're doing the goodbyes at this point.
Okay, then goodbye.
And OldeVampyr, lovely having you.
Oh, it was nice being here. Thanks.
And Queenie.
So long, farewell, Evita, say goodnight.
Aha. Okay, well, night-night YouTube, night-night everyone.